Your house that you've spent years saving up for and that you've put all the sweat and tears into it might become worthless in the next 10 years. And no, this is not rage bait, this is not clickbait. This is actually data and facts that I'm going to present to you in this video. And everything is location based as always, but I got some realtor going to talk about it a little bit, and everything has to do with the rising cost of insurance, with the rising cost of property taxes, and everything associated with houses. And we're going to kick this video off with a realtor basically kind of going over what she's seeing in LA and what is going on. But before I do that, I'm going to show you this article first, right up here. And this article is saying that for the first time ever, they got an emergency increase for premiums. So State Farm wins first ever emergency rate hike in California. And we all know that insurance has been a huge problem for real estate and for your personal pocket when you're buying a home, when you're trying to get car insurance. Insurance is now this crazy mushroom cloud over your head that's just waiting to strike you because it is just so expensive. And everything has to do with these natural disasters that just become so frequent and so big. And so we're going to watch her talk about what she's seeing.
Your dream home could be worthless in 10 years, and no one's warning you. Banks and insurance companies are depending on climate maps to make decisions. They know which neighborhoods in Southern California they're already assuming to be uninsurable by 2035. Malibu, Topanga, the canyons, even San Pedro. These are all flagged for high fire and flood possibilities. And if you can't get insurance, you can't get a loan, making your property only available to those who have cash, and you usually want to buy at a discount. Zillow doesn't show you the risk, but on realtor.com, every property shows the environmental risks. These climate risk maps are dictating how much you're going to pay for insurance and probably the end time of when you'll be able to get insurance. Even the California Fair Plan, which is a last resort fire only insurance policy, is overextended. They're not able to pay all the claims from the recent Southern California fires, and they don't cover flood. That's an additional insurance. And if your property is too high a risk, according to these maps, you're not going to get that either. So whether you own a home or you're looking to buy one, be aware of what it says about your address on these maps. If your home is listed as a high risk, it may not be possible to get insurance. And if you're a buyer looking, before you even write an offer, you should be talking to your insurance provider to see if they'll cover this property and get a quote so you can work it into your monthly payment.
It's looking more and more like Jake from State Farm is going to be your real estate agent. Because when I'm looking at what I'm seeing in the market, what I see people leaving in the comments, it is just crazy that insurance is taking up a bigger and bigger share of your monthly allocated budget towards housing. Let me say that again because it's going to piss people off. Regardless of who you are, if you're Jeff Bezos, if you're Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, I don't give a rat's ass, you have a budget towards housing. And that means that if you're making $10,000 a month and you're going to say, I'm going to allocate a third of my budget towards housing, you have $3,000 a month. Now, if you make $1,000 a month and you want to allocate the same, it's $300 a month. So this is just how the math goes. And if you like this type of content, please click like and subscribe. So that would really help me out. And now let's look at what is going on with insurance. So I have a projection right here where you can look at how much it went up. So 100 is how it started off, and it has constantly been climbing. And this is the national average. So you see it is just going straight up. And so we're almost at 2030 where it's going to double in premium payouts. So that means that in 2030, a few years from now, we are paying double what we've paid for in 2020. And that is just absolutely crazy because you have to pay for that. And when I look at Redfin, you can look at the climate map right here where it says flood score severe, fire factor minimal, heat factor, wind factor, and air factor. So you can see all this calculated in. And then you can see, is this going to be a place where it's going to be so expensive to insure? And here we go. This has been from a last year's report from the news. So you can actually type that in and say, realtor forewarns more natural disaster means higher home insurance premiums. And as I said before, homeowner insurance premiums are constantly on the rise. So now let's look at what this really means with the numbers, because as you guys know, I always try to bring the numbers in. And so I Googled what's the average house, what is the average home price in the United States, and it was like 512 something thousand, depending on where you look. So if you have $512,000 home purchase price and you put 10% down, I kind of looked at what the average down payment is. So that's going to bring you to $4,384 per month in fixed cost. So that is property taxes, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance, and principal and interest. So that's kind of it. I didn't include any utilities. I didn't include water. Didn't include anything like that. And so now you're like, well, this says 6.5%, but I'm so good. I'm going to buy down points. I can do assumable loan, VA loan, whatever. And my payment's only going to be, I'm only going to have a 4.5% payment. Well, when you just take that into consideration, your payment went down a few $100s. It went down just $500. So now let's look at, I have another math pulled up here, some more math pulled up here. How long is it going to take for you to make up that $500 a month in more property taxes, in more insurance? And when you're looking at it, and we're going off of a $6,000 a year, to estimate how many years until homeowners insurance and property taxes increases by $500 a month, we're $6,000 a year, and we're going to say that these right now are going to be $8,000 combined. So when you're looking at the numbers, after 5 to 6 years, you're going to be right where you were with the payments at the 6.5% interest rate. So as I'm telling you, there's nothing fixed when you buy a house besides your mortgage, and everything else is just constantly going up. And people move to these areas like Florida, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and they move to these areas, and they're great areas, and I lived there for many years. And all of a sudden these storms come, and then they rebuild, storms come again, and then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm rebuilding. Businesses can't stay open because business need to generate profits, generate revenues. And if you don't have generating a profit and a revenue, business owners can't stay open. And so it's going to make your town a ghost town. And so when this realtor was talking about her situation of saying that your home might become worthless, is because when you're going to look at, you're going to buy in Palisade, or you're going to buy somewhere in South California or SoCal, when you're going to buy in LA area, and all of a sudden you can't get insurance on it, there's somebody that's going to just lowball you and say, you know what, I'll buy this, but people can't get a loan, you can't put insurance on it, so I'm going to buy this. And they're going to lowball you, and they're just going to say, you know what, we're going to get you 25% less, 30% less, and depending on how desperate you are, you might going to take it. And the one thing about homes is they're not like cars. So you're like, I'm not going to worry about it too much, because you're like, when I go to the car dealer and I traded in my Mitsubishi for a Beamer, or my Beamer for a Mitsubishi, whatever it is, and they have some negative equity, we just roll that into the next loan, and we're just going to keep on trucking. With houses, it doesn't work like that. You got to bring money to the table to close. And all of a sudden, you're stuck. And I'm telling you one thing, banks do not want to lose money on you. I'm telling you that right away. And you're like, oh, I'm going to do short sale. Well, those have to get approved. And guess what? That's going to come haunt you next year. So if they're going to short sell you, and you're like, you know what, I just sold $100,000, $200,000 below that they wiped out, and I'm just so glad, you're going to get a letter in the mail saying, you know what, that's considered income. And all of a sudden, you're going to get hit with a tax bill that's gonna rock you. And it's got probably, if you had family members, they'll turn in the grave, because that tax bill is gonna be so insane that it's just gonna rock you. And this is what I've been telling people. Learn about it first. Make sure you do all the footwork. Make sure you have everything taken into consideration. How much is this gonna go up? How much is insurance gonna go up? How much is property taxes gonna go up? Did my realtor calculate my property taxes right? Did everything work right? Because sometimes they just tell you, oh yeah, just buy, because they want to make a commission. They need to feed their family. And so then they're like, yeah, this is a great house, this is a great house. And then all of a sudden it comes to find out, it wasn't such a great house after all. So make sure that you know what you're getting into. And people say, oh, it's not that hard. You just go and get shown some houses, and all of a sudden you're in an area where you're like, ooh, I bought a nice house, I'm at the beach, and then they call you back to the office, and you're like, oh no, now I'm in trouble because I can't get rid of my house, and nobody's willing to go there and buy my place, and the greater fool theory didn't really work out, and so now I'm in trouble because I have to cover my payment over there in Florida, but I'm back in Texas because my headquarter company's back in Texas, and now what do? Well, congratulations. You did what so many other Americans did. And this is why I'm always telling you guys, don't make fast decisions. When it comes to big money and not liquid assets, you are gonna have to take your time. Look at it. Is this good for my 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years? Because the market eventually will bail you out. The market kind of gonna keep going up depending on where you're at. But if you pick the market that doesn't have that, and markets can go down, and then you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm stuck. Now I'm paying on an asset that is way overinflated, and that I've bought, that I'm the last person to purchase at such a high valuation, and it happens all the time. And these houses are not like stocks where you can just say, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna get out of them today. With stocks, there's trading volumes. You can just get out of them at any given time. But with houses, no, you gotta have a realtor. A realtor needs to even take your listing because it's gonna cost them a few $100s to get photos taken. Maybe they need to stage it, doing all that. And you're like, I can't sell it. I'm gonna have to lose money on it. So what do? Well, let me do an Airbnb or something, or let me do a rental. And then you're like looking at it like, oh, there's not enough money in that. And I'm not gonna get enough money to cover my own mortgage and insurance and everything else. So yeah, it is a tricky, sticky situation where you gotta make the right moves. And some of it has to do with luck, some of it has to do with foresight, and some of it has to do with areas where there's job growths. Because I'm telling you, when I showed you this chart, I'm showing you again how much insurance is going up, and you're in an area that job growth isn't there, where there's not that many manufacturing jobs, or there's not that many service jobs or anything else, because it's a retirement community or a small little beach town. All of a sudden you're like, oh shit, should have not done that. And yeah, people make mistakes, people do stupid stuff all the time, but I'm trying to warn you that you need to watch over your money like a hawk, because now there's going to be even more scams because people are hurting for money. And now you can't just say, I'm just going to throw it on the market and there's going to be 50 offers coming in overnight because they all want what I've done. And interest rates, according to what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing, is they're going to go down a little bit, but with so many unemployed people, who's going to buy it? And with remote work being done, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that's not good. And beach town's kind of gonna be done. So you gotta, if your beach town doesn't have a flourishing industry besides tourism, because tourism down also, you gotta make sure you buy the property right. Take your time. Ask AI, what do you think about this? Where do you see the trend grow? Make me a map. GPT does it all. But it's going to cost you $20 a month. So spend it and say, where do you see the growth come? Where do you see employers? Has there been news that employers are moving up? Is it a trending town? Is there more people moving in than moving out? And if you want to have an appreciating asset, that's kind of the research you need to do. You can't just say, I'm just going to buy and I'm just going to go and do whatever I want. because that's how you're going to get burnt when you don't know what you're doing. You're going to buy a house somewhere, and then you're like, uh-oh, now I'm in trouble. And so all I want to do is tell you that make sure when you're going to buy, when you're going to get something, that this is beneficial for you now, and the future you is going to thank you, because house prices going to be shaky for the next few years, especially if we're going to see more disasters. Because once there's going to be even more disasters coming, and we see it in Florida with hurricanes, we see it with California with fires, once there's more of that, companies, insurance companies, they're not going to lower their rate and say, you know what, I'm just going to take less profit. Don't worry about it. They're going to find every way possible to not pay. And what they're going to do is they're just going to tell you, you know what, we're just going to hire lawyers to fight your claim that you've paid for so many years. So you might have paid your homeowner's insurance, your homeowner's policy, your flood policy for 2 decades, got destroyed, and then they're saying, this was a natural disaster, so let me make sure that that you are not covered with a lawyer. And depending on how you filed the paperwork, then they're going to say, you know what, we're not going to cover this, we're not going to cover that. So yeah, that's how it goes, because insurance companies, they need to make money, and they're in the business for profit. And when you're looking at Jake from State Farm paying for Super Bowl ads, paying for all that, that is paid with people's premiums, and it's expensive. And so this is why I keep telling you guys, make sure you know what you get yourself into. Because if you rent and you get something, then all of a sudden you can be out and you can just say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. And if my apartment floods, you can say, you know what, do you have another apartment for me? If not, thank you so much. Keep the security deposit. I am out. But people are always like, oh, I want to do the dream. I want to own a house. I want to do this. I want to do that. So let me know what you guys think about all this. But man, it's crazy. People are just trying to, they have this dream of how it really is, and then they get into it, and then all of a sudden comes to find out it is not at all how it is. And then you're like, oh shit, should have not done that. This was a mistake. And as an adult, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you make mistakes, they're thousands or hundreds of dollars. So I'm starting to see that with friends of mine, with just kind of growing up. When I reflect on myself, when I did mistakes when I was 18, 20, it was $50, $60, $70, $100 mistakes, and I was mad about it. But now if you do mistakes like in construction or something else, it has thousands. It has $3, $4, maybe $10,000 mistakes. And those are the mistakes that are going to be hard to recover from. So instead of just going out and leveraging yourself in the wrong way, make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, and make sure you've put an insurance policy on yourself and invest in yourself, so you know that once I'm going to go down this path, I have opportunities and I have other stuff going on in that area, so I can leverage it. Maybe you have family in town or do something, because that is hugely, hugely important. So let me know what you guys think about all this. But man, you got to do the research when you're going to be buying a home. And I know a lot of you guys, I made a poll like a year or so ago, a lot of you guys are just ready to pull on when the interest rates coming down. Interest rates are coming down, but insurance not coming down. So be sure, be aware that insurance rates are going to come, or interest rates are going to come down, doesn't mean that insurance is going to come down. So yeah, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. I make videos like this all the time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.